praiseforwarwear.com.
Hello, everyone. How are you today? It's so good to be back once again on Wednesday Night Affair with Praise for Wowe. Thank you very much for those of you joining on YouTube, Facebook. Then I have my Instagram audience. How are you guys? I love you. So good to be joining you tonight, every 9 p.m. CST Central Time on Wednesday. I do Wednesday Night Affair with Praise for Wowe, right? And so I'm loving my YouTube audience and my Instagram audience. Thank you very much for joining me. Well, today I am going to be, guys, I love you. I love you. Today I'm going to be looking at something very critical, and it's a question, that a lot of people ask me. I mean, in many years of practice, hey, Toby, I love you too. Right. In many years of practice, I have discovered that not many people can answer that question. And I'll tell you for free. It's been maybe 24 years of working in this field. I mean, being at the top of my game, in Africa before moving to the US, I can tell you for free that 8 out of every 10 couple I've worked with is never able to satisfactorily answer this question: why did I get married? And that's what I'm going to be looking at today. Now, this question is very, very important because every time, you hear people get married and the next minute they are going through a divorce. Many years ago, I actually took a deep dive to study marriages that ended. And I went ahead to ask them, I must have surveyed over 45 marriages that ended. And the only question I wanted to find out was, if the reward for getting married for like 40 years was the fact that the whole economy of Japan was going to be handed over to the two people involved, will they have stayed married? Now, I'll tell you, and I'm not lying, over 39 of those couples told me they would have made it work. And I wanted to find out, why would you have made it work if the reward was going to be the whole of the economy of Japan? And they said, no, Praise, the stakes are higher. So then I began to think, could it mean that maybe the stakes were very low, was why it was easy for people to engage in behavior that ended their marriage, or people were quick to press the exit button? Now, my research has taken me to a level where what I'm going to do today is to lay a foundation, and from next week, I'll tell you how to create a purposeful relationship and the 5 things you need to look at. But then today, I want us to look at this matter critically, because many a time when I'm asking people, why do you want to get married, or why did you get married, I'm hearing guys tell me things like, I've always wanted someone to take care of the home. Then it dawns on me that the person never really wanted a wife. He wanted a housekeeper, but because the definition of a wife is a housekeeper, is housekeeping, so at the point of the getting wedded, right? And as they were dancing, in his mind, he's going to retire from kitchen, or he's going to retire from taking care of the family. Taking care of the home. It's just going to be the woman he has acquired to come and do that for him. Now, you will look at that guy and you will think that maybe what he's doing is wrong, but I'll explain why that happens to many people without them knowing. Because there's been several dispensations from the Stone Ages. So many people don't know that we still have the descendants of the Stone Age men and women, even in our days, and they are going to talk to someone to say, I want to get married to you. Are we together? Right. And so when purpose is not understood in a relationship, abnormal use becomes inevitable. And so you find a situation where people get into all sorts of things, and then, a woman wants to get married and she's thinking, this guy's going to take me out of poverty. And I'm asking, what happens to you? I saw something on Instagram in Nigeria, I think today, of a lady, whose claim to fame was because she participated in a reality show where you literally have to sleep with people naked. You have to do all kinds of things, people watching you. And then she said that a lady should not marry a guy who earns 800,000 naira. That's in Nigerian currency. That's like less than I mean, per month, and then someone had asked, how much exactly does she generate? I mean, because 800,000 naira, it's a lot in the Nigerian economy. And then she was talking about, oh, you will not be able to, afford your weeks and things like that. Then the question any sensible person should be asking is, why should a guy be the one to afford your week for you? What happens to you? How much do you generate? If I am supposed to be a sponsor, am I supposed to be a sponsor or a spouse? And those are the things people just open their mouths and they talk, and then you are wondering, is it that you are not thinking before you made that statement, right? But you see, when people don't know why they want to get married, so you would see someone say, oh, someone would want a sponsor, but he will be masquerading as a husband. Someone will want maybe a sex partner and they say, no, I want a wife, right? And so we need to find out what is the root of all of this. Now, the almighty question most of my clients are unable to respond to is, why did you get married to this person? Why did you answer, yes to his proposal? Why was it that out of all the people on this planet, this was the person you chose? And you see, I always say to people that when Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, but when Bill was president and then the Monica Lewinsky case happened, and then they left presidency after serving an 8-year term, and then Hillary was contesting for presidency, and they asked her, why was it that you didn't leave your husband when he cheated on you? And then she said something that I will never forget. She said that when both of them were younger, before they became prominent, they knew that they were going to serve as public officers in the US. And so that when Bill cheated, she said that the purpose for getting married to him was too high that the sting of adultery couldn't touch it. I felt that was very, very profound, and that was very, very intelligent. Now, what I'm saying is, when the purpose for getting married or getting into a relationship is high, you realize that divorce button is not the first thing people press. Because I always ask, if the consequence for drifting apart is that 1,000 people are close to you are going to die, what would you have done differently? Then people will tell me, oh, praise, I'll make it work, I'll do this and that. Now, so let me take it historically so that you know how we got to where we are now. The first age, when it comes to the marital age, of course, minus the Bible or the Quran age, is the Stone Age. Now, in the Stone Age, you didn't marry for love, right? You didn't pick a spouse for love in the Stone Age. In the Stone Age, you pick a spouse as an alliance for survival, ensuring mutual support in gathering food and protection. So choices are made in the Stone Age based on kinship and clan connection. So Stone Age was not about, I feel butterflies in my tummy. It's not about, I want to take you out. Yeah, we want to fly around the world. No, that wasn't what the Stone Age was all about. Stone Age men or Stone Age women are never, and they still exist right now, right? The fact that that age ended doesn't mean the descendants of that age still don't exist. So whenever you meet someone who wants to get married, simply because, he wants food, to gather food and to be protected. So a lady who wants to get married to a guy because she knows that her needs are going to be met, that's a Stone Age woman. Because in the Stone Age era, alliance for survival. So we come together to say, oh, let us come and survive. Let us come and, that's all they think about. So they're not thinking about romance. They're not thinking about the rights of the person. They're not thinking about, personal development to the highest level. It's about survival. So whenever you meet anyone who wants to, think of getting involved with you because of what you're going to bring to the table, and then, you are literally going to take their responsibility for them and protect them and shield them, and they are thinking about just food. At least when I marry now, I will have a house over my head. I will have someone to take me out and give me food. That is a Stone Age person, because in the Stone Age era, alliance for survival, ensuring mutual support in gathering food and protection was why people got married. Now, if you move away from the Stone Age, we move to the age called Ancient Civilization. Now, in the ancient civilization, there were 3 world powers. You had Egypt, you had the Greek Empire, then you had the Roman Empire. Now, in the Egyptian Empire, right, social arrangement to ensure property and lineage was why people got married. So people didn't get married, because I love you, you love me. No. It was a social arrangement to ensure property and, and ensure lineage. So we got married because I wanted an heir apparent. And because if I didn't get married, if my father had a lot of properties, I will not get that inheritance. So in the Egyptian age, in the ancient civilization, that was why people get married. So whenever you're in a relationship with someone who is saying to you, my father has an inheritance, he's not going to pass it to me until I get married, you're actually getting married to someone in the ancient civilization. Right. That person is not a modern person. It's not a modern man or a modern woman. Right. And then in the Greek Empire, marriage was consummated for arranged, it was arranged for economic reason and to produce legitimate heirs. So love outside of marriage was common. So in the Greek Empire, the person people loved was not who they married. So they married this person who was supposed to bear. So if you have watched Alexander the Great and the rest of them, you understand what I'm talking about. So in that era, it wasn't about love. I love you, I'm taking you on. No. It was about, economic reason. And then let's produce a legitimate heir. So anytime you are in a relationship with someone whose heart is elsewhere, but is married to someone else, and all he's thinking about is, give me a male child, give me a male child. You are married to someone in the ancient civilization who is from Greek Empire, right? Even though he's living in this age and time, that's the kind of person. So the purpose for getting married was not love. Then you have the Roman Empire. The purpose for getting married in the Roman Empire was legitimate children for inheritance and citizens' rights. That was the only purpose for getting married in that era. So whenever you are dating someone who wants to get married to you because you have American passport or you have a British passport, you are in love with a Roman Empire lover. And so they're not getting married to you for you, they're getting married to you because of citizenship. Now, so we've talked about the Stone Age, we've talked about the ancient civilization. The next civilization after the ancient civilization was the Middle Ages, which is from 5th to 15th century. Now, in that era, the purpose for marriage was arranged, literally, right? So it was as a result of strategic alliance to consolidate wealth, power, and land. So it was arranged. But by the mid of that age, the church had come in, then the church started propagating marriage as a holy union, right? And so what does that mean? If you are in love with someone who wants to get married to you because of strategic alliance to consolidate wealth and power and land. So for example, a senator, son wants to get married to a governor's son, or a president's son wants to get married to, a governor's son, so that they can strategically expand their empire. Those people belong to the Middle Ages. They are in the 5th to 15th century people, even though they're living in 2024. Are we together? Now, you need to understand this, because I'll tell you how this ties up. You can be a 24th century person and find someone who says, I love you, I love you. If you don't ask the right question and you don't understand why they want to get married to you, you will get married for love. Meanwhile, they are getting married for something totally different. Are we together? Now, so in the Middle Ages, it was arranged. We don't have to love ourselves. But then I'm the daughter of the president. You are the daughter of the sheikh. We need to come together, right? And so a lot of people like that, it's not about love. It's about the Middle Age system. Then you have the age of the Renaissance, which is from 14th century to the 18th century. And in that age, that was when romantic love and legal system evolved, right? And so the women in that era, especially because in that era, we had a lot of the upper classes. So the upper classes had evolved in the Renaissance and Enlightenment age, right? And so the upper class started promoting romantic love. That was when the concept of flowers, kneel down to propose, that was when so the people in the Renaissance and Enlightenment era, the purpose for getting married was actually romantic love. And then the legal system began to evolve, and then the laws began to codify marriage as an institution with responsibilities and what have you, right? And so what we have today as marriage, as purpose for getting married, actually evolved from the Renaissance era, because pre that era, nobody married for love, really. Now, so whenever you meet someone, who talks about romantic love, who is sending you flowers, who is taking you to the mall, who is sending you gifts, who is calling you all the time, right? Or you have someone who begins to think of, let's go to the registry. You are dealing with an enlightened, spouse who belongs to the Renaissance era. Then comes the 19th century. In the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution and women's rights led to love and companionship, including rights of women to property ownership and rights over children. So they took the Renaissance era to the next level in the 19th century, because, there was Industrial Revolution. So women started going to work, they started showing up in the boardroom. And so it changed the dynamics a little bit. So then the concept of you need to love me for me because I have my money. So I'm not coming to you because I need your money. I'm not coming to you because I'm broke and I need to buy me weave on. Of all the things in the world, you're not even thinking of a guy that will maybe sponsor you to Harvard University or something. It's a wig. You know how cheap that kind of brain is, right? And so 19th century was about, the rights to love and companionship, to say we are equal partners. Then that takes us to the 20th century. In the 20th century, reforms in marriage laws, including the introduction of no-fault divorce, the fight for, so before the 20th century, you had less divorce because, women literally died in the relationship. But in the 20th century, the rights of women and men, so you began to have the gender equality kind of thing that moved around the world to say, you know what? Let's begin to promote the rights of everyone. Nobody deserves to die in a marriage. And so the purpose for getting married in the 20th century was more about, let us try it if it's going to work. And if it's not going to work, we go our separate ways because the Lord empowers us. Now you have the modern age, which we live in right now. I hope you're learning something. Because if you don't understand how we got to where we are, you will meet a Stone Age man in this age and time, and you will think, oh, that's a lover. Meanwhile, the guy just want to acquire someone to produce heir apparent for him. Now, in the modern age, right, we are dealing with exploration. So in the modern age, marriage is more about people get married to say, that's why trial marriage is becoming a thing. The US and several other countries say, hey, let's cohabit. Let's understand ourselves. Let's even give birth to each other. If it works past maybe like 7 years, then we can go to, so you will see a lot of footballers promoting that. Now, it's also modern age right now. It's also more about citizenship. People want another passport. People want, a new nation. For those, my people in Africa, you want to come to America, so you're thinking of getting married to an American and things like that, right? So it's not just about love. And that's why you find cases where someone marries someone, brought the person here, and before you know it, they're divorced in 2 years. So the depth of purpose for getting married is not really defined. Then you have positioning. People get married for positioning in the modern age. Then there are a pocket of people get married for love. And what those people are saying is the purpose for getting married, it's not just about, what I want to get from you. It's about us coming together and transforming our world together and becoming the best we can ever be. So nobody needs to die in that relationship for another person to leave, because a lot of people have erroneously misinterpreted scriptures that says, God sent the woman to come and help me. So she's supposed to abandon her life and then support the man. Well, that's far from the truth, because without the husband, how would she have led a life? Right? And so it's about creating an environment where the potential of everyone find expression. Now, a lot of people still get married in the modern age for reproduction, and that's why women who couldn't conceive on time, became a major issue. Thank God to IVF and several other, innovations that exist, medical innovation, so people can actually get married. They can do surrogates and the rest of them. Then some people get married for self-service, to say, hey, I'm getting married for me. I'm getting married because I can't hold myself. So, church says get married, so that, you don't fornicate and things like that. Right. And so the question today is, why do you want to get married? Have you thought about it? And that's the only question I've come to ask tonight. Next week, I'll tell you how to create a purposeful relationship and how to, carefully craft your purpose statement, because a lot of marriages are crashing because we have not been able to answer that question. So why did you get married, or why do you want to get married? When you don't understand the purpose of marriage, abnormal use is going to be inevitable. So let me play on your intelligence a little bit and show you a few scenarios. So let's assume in this age and time, there is a guy called James who wants to get married to a lady called Toby. Now, James is of the Stone Age, but Toby is not aware. Meanwhile, Toby is a Generation Z. They are coming together to say, hey, let's get married. Unknown to Toby, what is happening there is the guy, James, wants her for survival and workforce production. Because the more wives you got in the Stone Age, the more children they are able to produce, the more your workforce, free labor, cheap labor, who can farm for you. So this guy is coming to her because he's thinking of, in his head, 11 children, 7 children. So he's not thinking of what Toby has, what Toby. So he begins to negotiate subliminally to say, you know what, you don't need to work. I've got you covered. You have to stay at home and raise the children. So as far as it's concerned, he's not asking Toby, what do you have? What are your aspirations? Which are the normal conversations people should have when they want to get into a relationship? But he's already saying to her, I don't want, wahala for you. I don't want trouble. I don't want you to work. I just want you to stay in here. I'm going to feed you. Do people actually know that your esteem is part of your esteem is tied to your capability, your capacity to add value and earn in exchange for the value you are having? So this guy is having this conversation, and Toby is feeling, oh, love. He loves me. He just wants me to raise the children. So she's going to sacrifice the dream and stay at home. And then the guy will go ahead, develop himself to the highest level. As he develops himself, he's going to discover after a while that they are no longer intellectually compatible, because all he sees in her is a baby production factory. Now, meanwhile, Toby, as a Gen Z, wants her husband as a bestie that she can flaunt and take her to choice places. So you can see that even though both of them are in 2024, the conversation reveals who the guy is and who the baby is. Now, let me paint another scenario. So you have the ancient man weds the feminist. The feminist lady or guy is the person who believes in gender equity, to say, let's have mutual respect. But the ancient man, which is the ancient age, right? He wants his hair so that he can be entitled to inheritance from his lineage, while she wants a partner who sees her as worthy of affection and equal opportunities. So when somebody begins to tell you, you are looking for a partner, someone you can hold as your spouse and go ahead together and have fun together and love yourself together. But here is this guy or this babe who is telling you, my father has a lot of wealth, but because I've not been married, let's quickly get married. So they are always rushing you to get married because their eye is on the inheritance and not you. Now, when they say to you, we are going to inherit it, you are assuming that it's about both of you. Right, but there's nothing signed. But the moment they get at that inheritance, the real person shows up, and then they begin to acquire more women and more whatever it is. Right. The third scenario will be the Middle Ages, where it's the enlightened boss lady. The middle-aged man or the middle-aged lady who he wants a spouse as strategic alliance to consolidate wealth, power, and land. That's what he was looking for. So the Middle Agers are the HNIs, right? The politicians. They are looking for how to consolidate their empire. So they want their children to marry, not for love. Meanwhile, you have the enlightened boss lady, who is thinking you truly love someone who you can call a partner, who can give flight to your wings. You don't want someone to marry you because they want to inherit something or because they want to get economic power, because they want to get into some circles. You want them for you so that you can collaborate and build a greater future together. But then this guy is talking about, how, wow, if I get married to you now, they're not even talking. It's the parents who are talking to say, you've been betrothed to this person, so we're going to expand our empire. Because I do a lot of HNI counseling, I see a lot of brokenness in many of those relationships, and then you're wondering to what extent. So on one hand, the person looks taken care of. She can afford a lot of things. She can afford to travel everywhere, but she's lonely. So the question is this: who are you in love with, and why do you want to marry the person? Or let me switch this. Why does the person want to get married to you? These are conversations you should normalize. When someone walks up to you to say, you know what, I want to get married to you, you should ask them why. Why have you chosen me? You would realize that most of the answers they're going to give to you are very, very shallow answers. So an assumption will rob you of your desired marital bliss. And that's why you can't assume love. You can assume you're on the same page. You can assume the person loves you. You can't just sit down and just feel, wow, I prayed, and then the guy shows up. The guy can show up it looks like answer to your prayer, but this is a stone ager, or this is a middle-aged, middle-age man, or this guy is from Roman Empire, like I have chronicled the differentiations in what I've shared so far. Now, so when the purpose of coming together is not strong enough to last a lifetime, couples will drift apart. So people always ask me, why should you get married? I always tell them, you see, it's very simple. Any reason for wanting to come together to get married, which is not with the intention of maximizing yourself and improving each other, and serving a higher cause, will not make your marriage last. It will make you tolerate each other, and then you will become very petty. Someone will die for the other person to leave. And so you need to ask the question, why do I really want to get married? I believe that when people answer that question, many of them may postpone their wedding, or many of them may even get away from the person who wants to get married to them because the guy is not really clear about why he wants you, and you are not even clear why you want him. And so let me tidy up today by giving you my definition of marriage. Then I'll give you that assignment to go home and ask yourself, or ask every guy or every babe asking you out, why do you want to get married to me? Right? Why do you want me? You will be shocked. Mind the answers they give to you. If the answer has nothing to do with you, has everything to do with them. So if you hear things like, you are a very nice girl, you are very beautiful, those things are temporary. So they're looking at you. They love the idea of you, not the real you. Because the real you is the authentic you, including the wild things you want to do. So for example, will they still love you if you say, as a lady, I'm going to be traveling around the world and I'm going to be building businesses, right? And the implication of that is, you might need to also maybe babysit or take care of children or something, or we build a system around it. Will they still be willing to love you if you don't fit into their idea of who a typical woman should be, what a typical woman should do, or what a typical man should do, and things like that? So marriage, write this down, is the coming together of a man and a woman from two different nations. Marriage is the coming together of a man and a woman from two different nations to create a new nation that will promote the best interest of all and whose culture will give our world rest. Marriage is the coming together of a man and a woman from two different nations to create a new nation that will promote the best interest of all and whose culture will give our world rest. What this simply means is that I will break that down next week, but marriage is the coming together of a man and a woman. So two people from two different nations, your families is a nation, right? And so it means that the family you came out from, they will determine your values, will determine your culture, will determine your worldview, right? So that family can be a Stone Age family, it can be a Renaissance family, it can be an enlightened family, it can be an Industrial Revolution family, depending on what the culture is. So sometimes we categorize them as first world, second world, and third world family kind of thing, right? And so you are supposed to come together to now say, now that we've come together, what exactly are we interested in creating? What type of family do you want to build? Now, when you answer that question, what type of family do you want to build? Everyone should be free to say whatever they want to say. Now we come together in a light and say, this is what our coming together should produce. Because your coming together should create a new nation, and then should give the culture of that new nation, should give our world a measure of rest. Now, when you understand this definition, you will now be careful and realize that many of the reasons people wanted to get married is very, very shallow and very weak. And that's why it looks like divorce is becoming very rampant. So next week, I'll break this definition down. Then I'll give you 5 things you need, 5 steps to take to define purpose if you're married or if you are yet to get married. But if you are an HNI, I am running a class. If you go on my YouTube page, you will see it, right? It's showing on the screen right now. You can sign up. How to attract your spouse as a C-suite. If you're a C-suite executive, I'm starting that session on the 23rd of this month. It's going to run for like 12 weeks. I'm going to show you what you may have been missing, how to itch the right guy, and then I'm going to take you through a 10-week engaging program of what you need to do every day, and in 10 weeks you will find your lover. It works all the time. Okay, there are ways around these things, and if you're single and then you are a C-suite executive, you are very busy, you have not been lucky when it comes to marriage, you want to sign up for that session, and I'm going to coach you to finding the right spouse. And then if you are a parent, you can also check the YouTube page, Press Forward Live. You will see the flyer. We have a teen coaching, teen parenting session that is coming up later this month as well. 4 weeks. We're going to teach parents on how to coach their teenagers to start on. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope this has really, really been helpful for many of you. Yeah, if you have a question, feel free to drop it on my comment box, or either on Instagram or on YouTube. I will look at it and I will respond to your questions. But then every Wednesday, 9 p.m. CST, which is about 3 a.m. if you're in West African time, you want to join me here. You don't want to miss this for anything. I hope.
I am praise for warware.com.
Have a reason to miss it in your relationship. Trust me, you have no reason at all to miss it in your love life. You don't have any excuse right now.